I wanted to do something sharing my experience going from being a Brazilian Jiu-jitsu white belt all the way to blue belt. And spoilers, I got bit about halfway in between. So when I first started out in 2019, initially being out of shape and overweight, my real first hurdle was endurance. Something about grappling endurance that just sucked the life out of you. Another hurdle for me personally was just in general claustrophobia. Particularly a position that was claustrophobic for me was when someone's on my back, we're sitting down, and I don't know why, it's not a traditionally claustrophobic position, but when they're on my back and they're trying to get my neck, I would freak out. And I panic tapped at least a handful of times in my first 6 months. Probably after about 9 months, maybe 12 months, I think I had completely gotten rid of the claustrophobia. One thing I did to help combat that, you know the cave in Fight Club when he's burning his hand, he goes into the ice cave to try to get out of it. That's honestly what I would try to do. I would just try to go to a different place mentally, focusing on just getting through the next few seconds and breathing, and eventually the position will change and you'll get past that claustrophobia. My first competition came up. I had to make under 222 with a gi on, which I had to lose maybe 10 or 15 pounds to do it. I quit drinking for maybe 60 days leading up to it. If I didn't make weight, I would have been in the class with like potentially 300-pound monsters, which is a nightmare. And my first competition, something really strange happened. So this Brazilian dude who I'm fighting, he's a pretty big, strong guy, and he's a bit intimidating looking in terms of size, and I'd never competed before, so interesting first opponent. I ended up getting a sloppy takedown, which was really cool. Got the points for that, 2 points, and then I'm on top. I ended up passing his guard, so I got 3 points for that. I'm up 5-0. I have him in side control, and he ends up recovering back to guard, so I'm on top. He's trying to triangle me, and this is when something really interesting occurs. The ref kind of looks around for a minute and decides 2 points for my opponent because I cussed. So I got bit and I lost points. The match ended, I won 5-2. So one for the good guys, that's awesome. My second fight was the final, and I ended up getting lit up by a guy who knew how to wrestle. Took me down a bunch of times. He bled all over me. They stopped the match like 4 times because he kept bleeding on me. I got my ass kicked though, lost that one, ended up getting silver. So that was, interesting first competition. About 11 months later, I entered my second competition. This time I was really hoping to get gold, and I ended up fighting the first guy. I ended up taking him down, laid on him for a few minutes, got some knee on belly, and I ended up winning 4-0. I conserved a lot of energy, felt pretty good, and then I went into the final. When we were in the clinch, I really was too conservative. I should have just gone for it, but at any rate, I stood there and I let him take me down, which was really disappointing. I ended up throwing deep half, somewhat recovering. They gave me the points for it. So it was 2-2, and I'm in top half on him. There's about 2.5 minutes left, and I'm thinking, okay, because I was last to score, I'm gonna win, as long as he doesn't score. He ends up sweeping me. He gets the points, it's 4-2. I couldn't recover, and he ends up winning. I got a silver, this time just barely, instead of getting smoked, but I still got silver. So it was a bit of a disappointing result. Again, I was happy I competed. That was my second competition. My coach said, hey, I think you're getting ready for a blue belt. We're gonna put you through this checklist of things. I want to see that you can complete them. So I went down this checklist. I'll post the checklist over here. Quite a few items. I think there were 20 on the list, but some of those items are 5 things each. So there's quite a bit of things I had to really recite. Now the last piece to getting a blue belt for me, I had to fight a guy who has gloves on that is allowed to kick and punch. And so this is a bit intimidating because I've never fought someone like this before. And, you know, this is lingering over my head for a couple weeks. I'm just thinking, oh man, I hope I don't screw it up. I bum rushed him and I got him into the wall. Ended up getting him down and got on top of him. He was kind of able to just like throw these little weak wrist punches, but I wasn't able to really get anything. I ended up being in side control, trapped his arm, and I think I Americana'd him. I can't really remember. But at any rate, I ended up getting the submission, so that was awesome. And they told me, all right, you're ready to get promoted. And I finally accomplished my goal after 2.5 years, and I got my Brazilian Jiu-jitsu blue belt. That's how I made it from white to blue. It felt impossible at certain times. You just keep going back to class, and eventually, one day, the blue belt comes. And so now I have accomplished my goal. I'm freaking thrilled about it, and I'm happy to share with everybody.
How's the gym feel this morning, Mike? It's frigid.
And please be sure to like and subscribe. I am working on several other videos. You guys are gonna love it.